Good evening, everybody. Good evening. I hope you are well. We are going live in a couple of minutes. We're just waiting for everybody to join. We should be starting in about 3 minutes. I see a couple of you are here already, so welcome. Let us know where you're from in the chat. I'm just talking to a webcam right now, but if I can put some faces to something, or names even, that would be better. Just let us know who you are, where you're from tonight. That'd be great. And we'll start in about 3 minutes time. Just, you kind of have to come on live so that people get the notifications that we're live and we're here and ready to roll. Tonight's going to be all about content marketing, about how you can use it. And I'm going to give you some really simple methods you can use to produce content. So go ahead, go to the loo, go get a brew. Oh, that rhymes. If you don't know what a brew is, in Northern England, that's what they call a cup of tea or coffee. Go get a brew, and we will start in 2 minutes. Hi, Ibiyama. Ibiyama was on a call to our team today, so I gate crashed it at the end. And Vasco's here with me tonight as well. So Vasco, if you want to say hello.
Hi, everybody.
Vasco. Oh, there's Helena. Hi, Lucy. I wonder who's the furthest away. Who's the furthest away? Just while we're waiting.
I'm sure it's Ebooks.
Who's the furthest away from Plymouth? Plymouth, United Kingdom. Who's the furthest away? So Ebiyama is in Kentucky. So that's pretty far. That's what, 5,000-ish miles?
Yeah, more or less, yeah.
Lucy, I don't know where you are at the moment, but I love the accent. Oh, I've got a northern accent, so yeah. So we'll start in 1 more minute. Just let everybody join and hang out. Everybody turns up late anyway. This is how these things roll. Lucy, Salcombe. Oh well, Lucy, you have a place in Salcombe. You don't want to associate with us riffraff. We're going to start in a couple of seconds. So, hi, Andrew Constable. Andrew Constable, I've stole your background for tonight. I thought the orange looked good, so I've stolen his background.
Just so you kept your black glasses.
So much riffraff. So, right, tonight is all about content marketing. I'm going to give you some free stuff that you can implement and just help you get your head around some content so you can put that stuff out. And, hey, Andrew, we could actually be, at a distance. If people took their glasses off, we might be related. So let's just crack on and start tonight. So please do ask questions in the chat as we get going. If there's things here that you're like, can you unpack that for me? We will go. I'll probably save some questions to the end. And at the end of tonight's session, just before we wrap up at 8, I've got a whole load of methods that you can use to write blogs and social posts that I'll share with you. So if you can hang in with me till 7:45, we'll go through all of those methods so you can just go away, copy and paste it, and use those methods in your own social posts. And I'll show you, you wish, I'll show you some examples that you can use, literally practical examples of what you can use. Okay, so let me just get my thing rigged up.
Can go and do a like.
Oh, Vasco's here. If you're here, please do subscribe to our channel. We produce videos twice a week now, live twice a week. We're having a break for Christmas. No, sorry. We're live 5 times a week now from now. And in January, it's 7 times a week. So pretty scary. Giving away free stuff and helping people and discussing stuff that will help people grow their business. Anyway. So, quick agenda for tonight. What is content marketing? Just the kind of basics of what it is, so we're all on the same page. How to get attention on your content. How to write copy that sells. Simple content framework, and then we'll do Q&A. So literally, I'll be the last person off. So if you're around and you want help, hang on and I'll walk you through some examples. And you can even say, how would you write this post? And I'll answer it. So what is content marketing? Let's just do the basics. So content marketing is a method of providing value, insights, and information that helps you create customers for your business. Somebody said to me, and I can't remember who it is, but they were very clever. They said to me, content marketing is not information, it's transformation. Now, we don't use that transformation in marketing very often, but it's simply a case of, if you're just putting information out, that's nice and useful. But actually, if you want to get engagement, you want to get revenue from your content, you have to show people or help people transform their thinking, their actions, or the way they're running their business to really give value. So simply put, content marketing should help people discover that you and your product and your service and your business is the answer to their problem. You are the answer to their problem. That's the simple thing. Now, you can't tell people we are the answer to your problem. You have to help people discover that. And that's why content marketing is generally a long game. By that, I don't mean years. I mean, if you put your content in the right place, it might take a month or two before you start to see people really bite and engage. Now, if you want to play the SEO game, that's a real long game, but content marketing on social media is actually probably pretty quick. The quickest in fact, I'll tell a lie. On our Accelerator program, Social Selling Accelerator, we have somebody on there who joined the program 2 weeks before and went to Facebook with his content, got 108 people interested, and closed nearly £7,000 of sales in the first 2 weeks. But it all comes down to you understanding your customer and using the right type of content. And that's what we're going to show you tonight, some examples that you can kind of cannibalize and pull apart and use. So how can you use content marketing? Lots of different ways, but blogs, social posts, emails, videos, white papers, webinars, Facebook posts, LinkedIn posts, all of that stuff can be used as content marketing. So it can be used everywhere, and social media is probably the quickest way to get a payback from content marketing. So really, really simple. So some of you may have seen this diagram before, so I'm not going to brush on it all the time. But content marketing is a way to cultivate and build relationships with people at all different levels of where they are in the buying journey, but also that a lot of people haven't reached the point where they want to buy something. They haven't decided on a solution. And if you're talking and using content marketing to reach the whole of your market, or as much of your market as possible, you'll cater for people at all different levels. And one of the things I teach is actually don't just pursue the active buyers, because the active buyers can be the hardest to convert and probably the most transactional sales you'll ever make. Where the real value in your business is actually using your content, using your messaging, developing your messaging as a business to actually convince the people who are not looking for that product or that service or something that does this or something that does that, to convince the people who are not looking that their problem you can solve and not provide a service or a solution. A transactional sale is a service or a solution, but actually solving the problem. In other words, giving people a way that they can change their current reality, whether that be it's a business owner, whether that be a private citizen, a member of the public, is probably the most powerful way you can convert sales and probably the most high margin sales you'll make. But that's not for today. But what I'm trying to say is you cater to your whole audience so that all the people know you, or as many people as possible know you. So don't just cater to active buyers who want to know, does your thing do this, that, and the other? To talk to the people who've got problems or challenges and convert them. And we'll look at that now. So there are 4 key stages in any kind of buying process. I've kind of put my own spin on them to educate people and make it simpler to handle. There are people who have a problem. Yeah, there are people who have a problem. They might not realize they have a problem. They might not realize they have an issue. But at some point they realize they want to do something differently. They want to change. They want to change this situation. And so they may look or they may see people doing things differently, and so they decide they'd like to do things differently. And that's really the 3 steps. Problem, they have a problem, they're living with it. Outcome, they've seen an outcome or they want an outcome. Then there's a decision that they actually want to pursue that outcome. And then they decide on the solution. And so what everybody does is targets the people who've already decided they have a solution. So SEO services, or hire a marketing agency, or get insurance, or any of these different things. Problem, outcome, decision. They want to do something about it, and then they reach a choice of, I'm going to buy this or buy that or buy the other. But prior to them reaching a solution, there's multiple options of what they can do. So it's a really interesting model. And if you want to ask questions about this later on, I'll talk to you about it. It's just trying to help you understand that whilst you're selling, let's say you're selling insurance, there are lots of different ways that people can secure themselves from risk. So they might be afraid that their premises gets burgled. Now they could get extra insurance. So they could go, maybe we should beef our insurance up to protect us from, thieves coming and stealing all our stuff. So they could go, let's beef up our insurance. Or they could go, let's get a security guard. Or let's beef up our alarm system. Let's get roller shutters. So when people reach a solution, they go, we're going to get roller shutters on all the windows and doors. We're not going to do the insurance thing. We're going to get roller shutters and doors. So then they go looking for people who can supply them with roller shutters and doors. And that's how most businesses pursue those people who've reached the solution. What I'm saying to you is the best way to get clients at a higher margin is to hit them before they decide on the path that they're going to take. And that's where the consideration is less. And something like 80% of B2B buyers purchase from the first person they spoke to. It's really hard to be the first person to speak to somebody looking for a product or service. It's really easy to be the first person to engage somebody who's got a problem, maybe looking for something different, a way to solve that problem. And you come in and say, do you have this problem? I'll show you an outcome. So we're going to look at that and how you can use that in your content. So let's understand what the prospect's motives are. If you're putting content out there, it's not about you. It's about engaging your prospects and convincing them that you can help them. You can make a difference to where they are right now. So generally, customers, clients buy products or services to solve one of these problems. Very, very simple. You've got time, which is obvious. They want more time. They want to save time. They need to do something more efficiently. Money. In other words, they want to make more money. They're losing money. It's costing them money. These are the primary motivations that people have. Now is an emergency. There's something that has to happen now. They're fed up of waiting for something. They've got an emergency, a breakdown, plumbing, for an example, emergency plumber, alarms. All of those kind of things are really instantaneous things that have to happen now. And then you've got the aspirational problem. Now, what is an aspirational problem? People say, how can you have an aspirational problem? Well, maybe you're a business owner who feels like your business is underperforming and it should be somewhere else. Maybe you feel like you're very successful and you need to prove that. So I talk about very often the Lamborghini problem. Why do people buy Lamborghinis? Well, a Lamborghini is a very nice car, very expensive, but you can't really drive it that fast. It's not very good in the car park at Tesco. So you think, why are people buying this car? Why do it cost them on average, on top of the purchase price, £20,000 a year to just have it, and you do roughly about 5,000 miles on it. It's £4 a mile to look after that car. The depreciation isn't bad, but still, if you kept it for 4 years, it would cost you at least 80 grand to have that car. So why is that a problem? Why do people buy it? They can't go 200 miles an hour on it every week. So they're buying something to literally blow money on at 25, maybe 30, even 40,000 quid a year they're going to spend on this car to just drive it every so often. And often, not every case, but in a lot of times, people buy a Lamborghini. It's not about them. It kind of is. It helps them feel and understand and show to the world that they're making a statement. I've arrived. People who drive a Lamborghini get a lot of attention. People who drive a Lamborghini are either perceived by a lot of people. They get lots of photos taken of the car. They want that attention. They want recognition of their success. So aspiration can be a problem if you want to get something, you want to achieve something. It doesn't have to be greedy or anything like that, but if you want to achieve something, you're eager to achieve something. And then the negative side of that, it feels like you're not achieving something. It feels like you're underachieving something. It feels like you're not attaining your full potential. And each of these problems plays a part in every product or service that's sold. But there's always one that it kind of rests on really strongly. And I'd encourage you, we have some free download forms that you can get from us. Just message us or find me on LinkedIn and send me a message, where we actually give you a worksheet that you can actually figure this out. It's a lot of work, takes a bit of time, but it will help you figure this out. Because when you find out what the key problem or frustration or pain point that your prospects have, and there will be a group of people that have a very similar pain point, you can start to write content that really gets their attention and really draws their interest. What a lot of people do is they put out information, and that's great and useful, but it doesn't convince people that you are the people that can make a difference to their world. Jordan, if you want the worksheets, either come find me on LinkedIn, Dean Seddon, follow me on LinkedIn, send me a mail, or email the office hi@maverrik.co.uk, and I'll put that up in the chat in a second. I'll put the email, or just come find me on LinkedIn. So how do you get attention from the right people? So let's have a look at this in a bit more detail. And please feel free to put your questions in the chat, and we'll go through them as we go. So first things first, title is absolutely everything. If you don't get the title right, if you don't get the headline right, the subject line right, whatever you're doing, the whole thing will fail. The whole thing will fail. If you could have the most amazing piece of content, the most amazing white paper, the most amazing blog post, all of that, but if you get the wrong title, it's trash before you've even posted. So the title is everything. But then the next part of that is, what does the title tell the audience, and what does that title tell you? So let me give you some examples here. You put out, let's say you're a graphic designer for this first one. You put out a blog that's the latest trends in logo design. Number one, who is this interesting to? Well, generally speaking, if I'm a logo designer or graphic designer and I put this out, the latest trends, my motivation is to show people that I know what I'm talking about, showing people the latest trends in logo design. But what does that say to my customers? Does it show me, does it help me in understanding where my viewers and my audience are? No. It might be a nice, interesting article to put on my website, and it might get me traffic, but I bet you any money the majority of people who read that article have no interest and no intention of buying a logo design package from me. Because actually, the most interested people in logo design are probably other graphic designers. So it doesn't help me in the content marketing side. It might help me in terms of it's a piece of content to put out there. It might help me in demonstrating to some people that I know what I'm talking about, but it doesn't help me understand my customers better. So now the next one, how your logo can help you increase your prices. Does that help me? Does that talk to a pain point of customers? If I knew who read that, if I did that as a lead magnet that they downloaded, what could I learn about the audience who's downloaded that one? Well, I can learn two things. I can learn that the people who read that or download that are interested in increasing their prices. And they also have, however minor, some concern that their branding or their logo isn't quite helping them. How have I done that? Because I've structured the title to tell me something. It's not very strong, that one, but it does tell me something about the person or the business. It shows intent. The person wants to increase their prices or has an interest in increasing their prices, and they feel that somehow their logo might be able to help with that. Really simple. Next one, 5 ways you can get new coaching clients today. So this one is obviously targeted at coaches. It's 5 ways, so there's tips in there. So they're looking for actionable advice. And there's an immediacy, there's a now in there as well. So this one tells me that the people likely to be doing this want to get new clients. So if I'm a marketing agency, this would probably be a good piece of content to do, particularly if I have a call to action at the end of the article. The next one, the reason why coaches struggle to get clients, and you can cannibalize these however you want. I've just used them because I've used these examples in other things, or I've wrote articles like this. The reason why coaches struggle to get clients is one of my top performing articles I've ever written. And the majority of people who read it, guess who they are? They are coaches, and they are coaches who are struggling to convert or get clients. So again, I'm using intent in the title to draw the people in. And then a final one, how to double your coaching prices in 2021. So again, this is about coaches who maybe feel that they're not making enough money and they want to double their prices. This is just one I've made. I've never used this one, I don't think. But again, it shows you something. It brings an immediacy, it brings a certainty, but it also helps you identify the problems that people are facing. So let's say for an example, you're on your Facebook profile, you're on your LinkedIn profile, wherever you are, and you're pushing these pieces of content and you're connecting with business owners or coaches, and they start to see some of these posts. What they're going to do, they're going to look, and you're going to draw them into your world where you're talking about coaches and clients and giving value and actionable advice, and they're going to start to see you as an expert. They're going to start to trust you. And in the long game of things, if you make offers sandwiched between this content, people will ultimately bite. Not today and tomorrow, that would be unrealistic. But if you play this game and you run the content marketing game, the first 6 months, the hardest bit will be getting into a process and a routine. But once you've got past that 6 months, this will flow so easily for you. And once you've mapped out your customers' pains, it will get easier and easier and easier to the point where you can do this almost on autopilot. And people ask me, how do I churn out posts every day and find something different? It's because I understand my customers. Yeah. If you can see behind me, there's loads of scribbles on my glass wall. It's not that I'm a madman. Well, slightly. But I actually write down all my customers' pains and all the challenges they face, so I never drift off and lose focus. They're right there. Every morning I come in, I can see them. And it helps me write articles. It helps me write content. So you need to harness the power of intent if you want to use content to promote or to convert customers. So here's some examples. And again, if you'd like this, we've got this as an Excel spreadsheet. They're a bit cheesy American, but we've just collected some examples of some really good headlines that can help people write content. So again, if you want this, it's an Excel spreadsheet. You can find me on LinkedIn and ask for the content headlines list, or you can email us and we will give you this, and it will give you real useful tips of how to structure your headlines to create intent, but also give you different ways to give a different take on different problems. So if you don't have intent in your titles, you will never learn anything about the people who are reading what you're putting out. Hopefully you're all still here. Is everybody still awake? I've not put everybody to sleep, right? please do comment so I don't feel like I'm just talking to a webcam, because that's really... Oh, Julie said, good tip. Thank you, Julie. So the next section we're going to go in, just let me know in the chat that you're still alive. I'm not putting you to sleep. How to write copy or content that sells for you. Yeah. So this is a real thing that most people have a real problem with this, because what they do is they write blog articles with no plan of how this is going to end. So you write a social media post and you'll put something out there with no real understanding of what do you want people to do with this. So Joe Flint said, good stuff. I'll pay you later, Joe. What are you going to do with it? So typical thing, a business says, oh, we need blogs on our website. So they write a load of blogs, probably fill it with keywords to try and get SEO. And then they reach the end of the blog and go, what do we do with it now? I know, we'll put it at the end. For further information, please contact us. It's like, oh, yes, sometimes you can do that. But most of the time, you need to give people a very clear call to action. And all of your content up to that point is leading to that call to action. It's leading to convince them it's worth their time to make a call, fill in a form, download something, book something, buy something. The whole piece of content is convincing people that that moment is worth their time, or it's a no-brainer. So let's have a look at some ways that you can put some content together that can help you sell. So before you do that, think about this. What's the goal for this piece of content? Yeah, before you write a thing, what do you want people to do at the end? Ibiyama, it depends whether your blogs, they can be as long or as short as you want. I would say somewhere between 500 and 1,000 words is enough. Anything less, and you can't really labour any points or really get people to emotionally engage with the content. But I'll show you an example of how to lay that out in a second. So what's your goal? What do you want out of this content? You're not just filling your website because it's looking empty and you've not put something up for a month. It's like, what do I want to achieve with this? What value will you give to the audience? What's in it for them? Why should they pay attention? Why should they read to the end? What's in it for them? What's the problem the audience has right now? And then what emotions and frustrations do the audience face? How can you help the audience feel better about those problems, frustrations, and emotions that's going on? And what should the audience do next? And then finally, how will my title, headline, subject line hook people to pay attention? Remember, if the title is no good, the whole thing's no good. So these are some of the key questions you should be answering. What's the goal for them? What's the goal for you? What's in it for them? What do they get out of reading it? Is it just your marketing propaganda? Do they get some actionable tips? Do they get some new way of thinking? What will help them? And bear in mind, they will be coming at your content with their problem in their hands, in their mind. So how are you addressing the way that they're thinking about this, not your way of thinking about it? What's the customer thinking about it? So I'll give you an example from one of my LinkedIn posts. If you want to go look at this post, you can find it on my LinkedIn account. It's actually featured at the top, so just look for this picture and you'll find it. But there's a really simple format you can use for social media posts. So number one of this is a problem. A problem. What's the problem that they're facing? So in this, I'm talking about content. How do you write good content? Of course, good content is determined by the audience, not by you. So you only learn what's good by posting. If you think, oh, that's not very good, I'm not going to post that, you have no way to judge what's good and bad. The audience tell you what's good and bad. You can make the best TV series on earth, but if nobody watches it, it's bad. If you make a crap TV series, but millions of people watch it, it's good. So you can approach it in your content and go, that's good, that's bad. But honestly, you don't know until you post it. So I would encourage you, as we go through this, I call it field testing. Don't sit there writing a month's worth of content because you don't know what's good and bad. Start by committing to post something every day and learn what works with your audience. Learn what works for the people that you're connected to, the people that visit your company page, your profiles. But it all starts with a problem. If you address problems in your content, you will get attention of buyers. As long as you can articulate the problem in the way that the customer would. Nicholas, I'll come to your question in a second. Let me just get through this one and then I'll answer your question if that's all right. So it starts with a problem. Customers struggling to know what good content is. So I've wrote a post where I explain this methodology, but effectively I use the same methodology in the content itself. So the problem is, how do you write good content? How do you do it? So I'm teaching people a way that they can learn how to write good content. So I teach people how talk about the problem and the frustrations of the problem, and then how I found a solution or how you found a solution. Did you have some kind of eureka moment where it all slotted into place? Did you have a moment where you developed something? Did you have a program that you put together that got results for people? And what are those results? Then are there any action steps or tips that you can give people to move them a step closer to reaching their goal or leaving their pain or problem behind? And then finally, a call to action. Very, very simple post. This one didn't do too bad for me. 7,000 views. Wasn't brilliant, but it wasn't horrendous either. It was a decent post. So what's the problem that's trying to solve? How you found a solution? Is there a eureka moment? There might not be a eureka moment. There might be just we learned this, or I've been doing this for 30 years, or I've been doing this for 10 years and I discovered that this is a common thing. Any results or examples that you've achieved for somebody else? Is there a client that you've helped or a customer that you've helped that's achieved something? Hint, hint, everybody's product or service helps a customer achieve something. Everything. You just have to find what the most valuable bit is of your service. Tips and actions and call to action. So, Nicholas, first of all, how do I research the target audience? So I get absolutely slated in some Facebook groups, Nicholas, because, but it works well for me. I ask questions in groups to try and seek how people are talking about specific issues. How people are talking about specific issues. In LinkedIn groups, in Facebook groups, I do polls to find out not just is the problem that they're struggling to convert people through content. I'm looking for the way that they say it. So I'm writing all these blogs and nobody's looking. That might be what they say. So then I do a post. Are you writing loads of blogs and nobody's looking? So I'm trying to use their language to explain the problem. So hopefully that helps. Quora is quite good for that as well. Asking questions on Quora will get people to answer. And what you're looking for is the common denominator. So I asked a question I asked a poll in a Facebook group, and I asked effectively, which of these is your biggest problem? Getting sales, getting leads, or converting inquiries? And some people slated me and went, duh, do you not know that it's pretty much the same thing? And I was like, you obviously don't know what you're doing, because what I'm looking for is the way the people answer the question. I know that they're all round about the same thing, but I'm actually looking for which one resonates the best. And it's really simple to do, but people just don't get it. It's not just about saying, do you need leads? It's if they're thinking I need sales, saying do you need leads doesn't connect and may not connect. They may not pay attention to it. Andre, test and learn, but what about many of your early tests are bad and you will lose followers? So, Andre, I would encourage you to do some research but actually the only way you get better is by implementation. So as much as people can say there's a formula, and there are basic formulas, which I'm going to show you some of them, ultimately you have to test the messaging. So I've done posts like this one, 7,000 views. It's all right. I'd prefer better. But then a few weeks ago, I did another version of this, or today I've done a version of this, and I screenshotted this from a week ago with 7,000 views, and my one from today, let me just double check so I don't tell a fib. So I've literally repurposed pretty much the same message today as a post. Go look on my LinkedIn if you want. And today, this was a week ago. I screenshotted this today, and it's a week old, this post that's on screen now. But I posted this one today. Can you see that there? Hopefully you can. And I don't know whether you can see it. It's on 7,400 views. And this one's a week old. So this one will get to about 9, 8, and 10,000. So I'm refining the same messages and reusing them and just developing them in different ways to see people engage. So hopefully that's helps. But you do have to test. If you don't test, if you don't field test it, you'll never know what works. You know, if you look at some of the great, you know, literary works or the great stories of that we now have, the people who were living during them times didn't know that it was going to be a great success. You know, they didn't know what was going to become of their work because it was successful after their time. You don't want to wait till you're dead to find out whether you wrote good content. You need to field test it and figure it out right now. And you know, whether you're William Shakespeare, you really didn't know how successful your work would be when you're doing it. It's only in the putting it out to people where you see whether it really catches fire. Do you have to put the blog on a website, or can you do it on articles? Abiyama, yeah, I do. We do a mix. So we've got blogs on our website, and we've got blogs, articles on my LinkedIn. I use my articles on my LinkedIn as sales tools. I use the blogs on our website as just information and learning and stuff like that. And sometimes we mix that up. So here's a great template you can use to write an article or a blog. Sales blog this is. So remember, sales blogs, anything that's trying to convince people to take action has to be very different to, say, if you're doing the latest updates on the economy, for an example. So this is the P method. I've used this successfully for a long time, Vasco.
Yeah.
So it all starts with the headline. What's the headline? It's either an outcome-centric intent headline or it's a pain-centric headline. So the reason why coaches struggle to get clients is this article. I've done this article. So then the first section of the blog is about the pain. Don't brush over the pain. So I'll give you my example. Are you a coach who's struggling to get clients? Have you been frustrated about the number of people wanting to pick your brains for free advice, but then ghost you when you talk about your paid programs? Have you give up on a corporate world to become a coach because you want to make a difference, and now you're starting to feel resentful for the fact that people are taking your advice and not paying you for it? I've asked the same question multiple times, double and triple questions. Why? It's the only reason I'm doing it is to get people to emotionally engage with the problem. If you ask a question once and move on, they don't engage with the problem. So you ask the question in different ways, almost like think about the main pain that they've got and then think about the symptoms that are coming off it. Because they've got this problem, what else are they feeling? What else are they thinking? So that first section, I have to exacerbate the problem a little bit to get people to emotionally engage. Why do I need people to emotionally engage? Because I need them to read the whole article. If you just look at Netflix, you flick on Netflix, if you look at the picture and you're interested in the picture, you might read the little description, and if that gets you, you'll flick to it. But if you don't get into that film within about 5 minutes, you're gone. I wouldn't say 5 minutes for me. You've got Netflix. The film has to get you interested and hooked when you're watching the first few minutes. Otherwise, you won't do it. And we've all heard about these series we've brushed over, and then somebody says to us, we should watch that. It's a bit tough going. You have to get past the first 15, 20 minutes, but then it's really good. And so you go back to it because somebody's told you to do it. So we check out pretty quick if we're not emotionally engaged. If you don't grab our attention and hold our attention in the first few minutes, it's over. So that's why we do the pain and we exacerbate it. Then we flip it round. Yeah. So the next section, we flip it round and talk to them about what they'd really like to see. Hint, hint, it's the opposite of what we've just said. What do they want to be? Would they like to build a coaching business where people value their time? Do they feel like they've got some great value to give to people, but they just need people to pay attention? Start talking about the picture of what the world could be like if it was fixed. So you're engaging them with the pain and you're holding them with the picture. And now we can start to give some points. So in my article, The Reason Why Coaches Struggle to Get Clients, I talked about some of the things that are causing them to not get clients. Some of the things that they're doing that's attracting people who want free advice, who are not prepared to pay, and all of these things. Then I share an example, a story, which has to be true, of people who, or somebody who is similar to the coach who's struggling to get clients, or another coach who's struggled to get clients, who has achieved something with me. So it's very similar to the social post format. So it's a proof story, not a case study, but just a little bit of a paragraph that explains about Sue or whoever was a coach, former bank manager, struggling to get clients, really didn't know what to turn, thought about getting another job. We helped her with a strategy call. She put it all into order, and she's now getting clients booked in, and they're paying fees. And she's so glad she kept the faith with the coaching. Very, very simple. But one key element, yes, Joe Flint, I will add that in, and I will, Viola, add your question as well. The key element in that proof story is to include the call to action that you are going to ask the person to take at the end. Because then early on, there's no what we call pitch shock. And pitch shock is where people are going along, and just so you're aware, there's no pitch at the end of today's session, so don't worry about any of that. Pitch shock is when people really enjoy something and suddenly there's a jolt of buy this. So what you're doing in the proof story is encouraging people or helping people see that if they want what Sally got, Sally the coach, they have to do what Sally did. So it's very simple. You're kind of eliminating pitch shock or call to action shock at the end, because you're seeing how somebody else has had this. Then you give them a promise of, this is how we can help you achieve this goal. If you're a coach that struggles to get clients, we can help you put in a system in place and really refine your message so that you will be able to engage and convert clients successfully day in, day out. And then, if you'd like to know more about this, book your strategy call with Maverrik, and we will help you build that system that will help you go from 0 clients to a fully booked calendar. Really, really simple. So it's the 5 or 6 P's. The only reason it's 5 is sometimes you may not want to include points, and sometimes you will, but it's a very, very simple, tried and tested method. Viola. So one of the things I'm doing is I'm using different channels for different angles. So I'm using my Facebook profile. Page is a whole different story. You should come to our social selling workshop for that. Facebook, I'm using to talk to small business owners. LinkedIn, I'm using to talk to more larger businesses. And so I change the messages ever so slightly for the different 2 audiences. So there will be products that I sell on LinkedIn that will never make the light of day on Facebook, and vice versa. And I'm quite happy to do that. So you divide the channels by what I'm doing. Sometimes I put exactly the same stuff out, and sometimes I put different stuff out. But I've basically designated a channel to different groups. Joe, selling a product they might want rather than need, beer for me. Is there any pain per se? Yes. Joe, there's always a pain, and the pain is think about your product and what is its biggest benefit. So let's say it's a really craft homemade beer, and it's just really nice to drink on a. I don't drink beer, so I'd have to do some research. Think about your key things. If you, let's say you, the only thing I know is IPA. I'm rubbish on beer. Cider is a different story. Let me use cider actually. So, if we're talking cider, you can get your cheap Morrison's £2 a bottle stuff, which is there, and then I look for all the nice fruit ciders. So think about what's the real selling point. If you put your beer on the shelf against Carling, what would be the reason people would choose that? So think about that. What chooses that over that? Yeah, and it can't be, the family is a great, the whole provenance and stuff like that. But what is the differentiator on the shelf? Think about like Kopparberg. Yeah, Lucy, Kopparberg is brilliant. Think about it like that. What's the real... Yes, Julie, you've got it there. Where there's pleasure, there's pain. So if you can find the pleasure in your product or the outcome in your product or service, the pain is the opposite. It's the absence of those things. Yeah? So just flip it around. Aha. So if you've got a pleasure, Julie, I'm trademarking that now. Julie. If there's a pleasure, you've got a pain. Really, really simple. Just flip it round. Now, what businesses tend to forget is that human beings are buying from human beings, even in a corporate sense. So if you're using a company page, yes, you might change the tone a little bit, but actually the fundamentals are the same. I've got another couple of methods, and then I want to talk to you about you and we. Really important, you and we. Where there is pleasure, there is pay, Lucy said, which is a good point. So the bridge method is a very simple way to do it. This is a more short form content, so you can use this, which is, it's a before-after bridge. Sick of wasting money in recruitment? Want to recruit the right person first time? Let me show you how. Next one, agitation method. Problem, agitate, solve. Sick of wasting money in recruitment? Happy to keep wasting time and money? Or are you ready to find a better way? So just before I go on to this content formula I'm going to give you, again, if you want copies of the slides tonight, just drop me a line on LinkedIn, connect with me on LinkedIn, or email the office and we'll do it. I will put, and I'm not going to do a hard push or anything like that, if you want to be part of our Accelerator program, which teaches you how to write content, teaches you how to get your social media channels performing, teaches you how to sell without being pushy, I'm going to put the link in the chat, or Terry will put the link in the chat, and go have a look at it, weigh it up, have a decide. If it's not for you, that's absolutely cool. So we'll happily send the slides to you. We and you, really, really important. Your content, if it's there to sell, there should be more yous than we's. Yeah? Everybody get me there? You can't answer me, but I'm going to ask the question, did you get me? In other words, if you're writing me, we all the time, that could, if somebody edits that, that could be really bad. If you're doing that all the time, you're actually not talking to anybody. What you need to do is personalize your content so you talk more you, are your, rather than we can help you. Do you need help? Do you need this? So more you, less we. Of course, you have to at some point talk about what you do and yourself, but the dominant factor should be you're talking to one person. And I'm going to show you something really silly now. Let me just grab it. So whenever I'm writing content, this is really cheesy and you'll laugh and giggle at me and go, that guy has an action figure on his desk. I do have an action figure on on my desk. This action figure sits on my desk in front of my screen, and it's a reminder to me to always talk to one person in my sales posts. So whenever I'm writing content, LinkedIn, Facebook, whether I'm writing a blog, I'm always deciding to talk to one person. One person in terms of what's this person and what's their problem and challenges right now, but also one person in the sense of make sure that they can identify. And I don't know whether you've ever done this, but when somebody asks you questions, the first question you might just flip over. But if people start to ask a series of questions, you start to engage. And so I'm trying to say to you tonight is when you focus on asking people and talking to one person, it becomes more relevant to that person you're reading, who's watching. So more you, less we. Okay, simple content formula. So this is really, really simple. Just as a reminder of what you want people to do. Don't start with the title. Never start with the title of the content. Work backwards. Who is this for? What problem do they have? What's in it for them? What's in it for you? What's the next thing you want them to do as a result of reading this content? And what's the killer title? Find the title at the end. What most people do is find the title and then build it out. Well, you can do that, but only after you've done all the work. Or after you've done the work of going, this is what they want. Now, not every piece of content should be selling. Some of it should just be building trust. So you might do almost like case study content post or what have you. Some of it should just be sharing people about you and your personality and who you are, so they get to flavor of that. But if you're looking to use content to sell, you have to map it out from the beginning. Who's it for? What problems do they have? What's in it for them? What's in it for you? What's the next step you want people to take? And what's the killer title? In other words, what's the headline that makes it all work? Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. So we've got 10 minutes. Does anybody have any more questions or would like me to look at anything? Or perhaps you've got a LinkedIn profile or a Facebook profile, a Facebook page, and you want me to look at some content. You can't share the links in the YouTube because of the whole spam filters on YouTube. But if you tell us your company name or your name and your company name, I'll go look at your LinkedIn profile and I will literally tell you, here's some feedback you can make on some posts to improve them. I'll do this for the next 10 or so minutes, 10, 15 minutes. I don't mind if we run over. So if anybody's got any examples they want us to look at, Ibiyama, happy to look at individual posts and individual profiles. As long as you're happy for me to do it live, I'm happy to do it. So does anybody want me to help them review their content live? As long as it's on LinkedIn or it's public on Facebook, I can go find it. And I'll go find it for you and we can go through it. If not, what I'll do is I'll pull up some of my content and talk to you about why I do it. Yes, Ibiyama, individuals or businesses, if you're trying to convince people to do something, whether that be your business, your coaching service, your employ you, it's a key thing you should be doing. Joseph, let me give you some feedback. I talked to a client today who was getting a copywriter to write their social media ads. I don't really dive into social media ads. I can tell you how to write them to be more persuasive, but I can't really. I'm out of practice on the ads. I used to do them a few years ago. What I'd be doing, Joseph, is I would map out all of your customer pains first. Map out the consequences of those pains. Because once you've done that, it's literally, I'll drag that line and put it all together. And Joseph, I would look, if you want a copywriter to do it, I would check some of their sales copy to go, does it talk about pains? And I would vet them. But honestly, Joseph, you can probably write if you understand your customers' pains in their language, you can do it yourself. And I know that might sound really scary, but literally, I've got about 60 people on our Accelerator program at the moment, and I'm literally showing them not how to write English, but how to get their heads around their problems and use that messaging to convert it into customers. So I think you can do it. Joseph, okay, so if there's what I'd be doing then is I'd be looking. It's difficult because if you're trying to do it in English, you want not just a native English speaker. You do want a native English speaker, because often the people who don't speak English natively won't be able to get the differences in tone or the differences in particular wording. So that's one. Right
Josh,
click.
You still
Right click. Consultancy. I will be, if you can't see me on screen, I will be there in a second. Let me just pull it up. Oh, I think I put it in German. Why can't I spell tonight? Here we go. Right click consultancy. So Josh, I'm going to put it up on screen. Is this you, Josh? Hopefully it is. So let's have a look. Just check if Josh is there. Yes, Josh, there he is. So right click, the place where we get it done, IT. Okay, so let's have a look at the content. So Josh, this isn't a real sales post, this first one, but there's two things you are getting right. You are teasing in the headline. So you are breaking the headline down to make it easier to engage with on a feed. So Josh, hashtags, use the hashtags you want people to see. So have a think. Who are your customers? Who's the target customers? What hashtags are they using? And use the hashtags of your customers, not the hashtags of your industry. So if we look at headlines, for example, you put it in, there's only 137 people following it. So you want to pick hashtags that have got a bigger following and they have a following of potential customers. So for an example, if you're targeting, say, CTOs, yeah. So if you're yes, Josh, if you're trying to sell to people, make sure your hashtags show it to people who you could sell to. So Josh, let's say for an example you're targeting CTOs, then I would absolutely use technology. But if you're targeting not CTOs, if you're targeting, say, small businesses, you might use hashtags that are not related to IT at all. You might use hashtags that are related to your customers, that your managing directors of small businesses are most likely to follow. If you go to my profile, I have a PDF on there. You can go onto my activity and posts and then documents, and I have a list of 100 hashtags you can use that are the top most performing hashtags with the biggest followings. So you've got a lot of kind of broadcast stuff. So again, Josh, I just want to say here, I am talking not knowing who Josh's business is at all. But here's the thing. It's Black Friday. Stay safe online. Fine. Virgin Media Business. But I don't see anywhere yet where you're sharing the pains. So if you're talking to larger businesses with technological issues, what's the big pain that they've got? What's the challenges they've got? How are you bringing them to light in your company page? Because that will really resonate with a crowd. There's the link on the thing to the hashtags. So I'd just be looking. Will we ever go back to a normal working environment? Good question. So I'd be thinking about So, Josh, I know this is 4 months old, and you're probably going to resent the moment you said this, but good, Josh. Yeah, that post is the primary motivation of your customers trying to save money. I would really ask that question with IT. I would also think about what would be the objections people would come to you, or prospects would come to you if your primary angle is saving money. And the reason I say this is because when people save money, they either have to save them a lot of money and show them how their current setup is probably totally the wrong setup, or you have to convince them that there is, you have to deal with the objection of, yeah, but it'll compromise service, or it's better the devil you know. The biggest competitor you have in your business is doing nothing. People just staying with what they're doing already. So you have to create a compelling reason for change. And 25%, they have to believe that you can deliver 25% and you can deliver 25% for them. Josh, I bet you regret me saying this now, right? Any other questions? Anybody? Nobody's going to ask them to read contact after I did that. Sorry, Josh, if that was a bit harsh. Anybody else like me to look at theirs? Anybody else want me to look at theirs? And again, the smart links there for the hashtags. I'll send, if you want the slides, come find me on LinkedIn. I think a couple of you have sent me connection requests already, so I'll follow up with those. Anybody else want any questions? So it's 2 minutes to, so I've gone through quite quick to finish on time. If you're thinking, actually, we really want to ramp this up in the new year, just go have a look. I'm not saying go buy or anything. Just go have a look, and we will share with you. The Social Selling Accelerator program. Sorry, I got distracted by some comments going on here. So Julie's come up. So, oh, do you want me to let you into a secret? Shall I tell you a secret about social media? So let me just share it with you, and I'll let you all know. But if you've got some value from this tonight, and you think, actually, I really want to ramp this up, we're serious about this, go check out our Accelerator program. I'm not going to push it. I'm not going to promote it other than just say it. But Joe, you'll have to kind of tell me the website because it deletes the links. So if you want to just tell me the website, I'll go look. So if you say Maverrik.co UK, we can't see the links. YouTube deletes them. So let me tell you a secret about social media. So when you put a post up, I'm getting excited now. When you put a post up, I'm going to do it quick. When you put a post up, there is a rule of the way social media algorithms work. And in that, if you don't get engagement within the first few hours, the post doesn't actually reach anybody. So every post is being tested about its engagement. And the more engagement that you get, the more visibility it gets. So you may have found yourself, and you may have found yourself got into a rut where nobody's seeing anything. And so because nobody's seeing anything, nobody's liking and commenting, and nobody liking and commenting means nobody sees anything. So it's like a vicious circle. Now, these are not, some people don't like this, but it works. There's things on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and they're called pods. Now, what pods do is it's a group of people who agree to like and comment on each other's posts within a specific window of time to help kickstart people's posts. So it's not designed as a vanity thing. Look, I've got some likes and some comments. It's designed to kickstart the algorithm to work in your favor. And I've seen this work really, really well. Now, if you want to go, actually, I need to be part of one of these just to see how it works. Again, message me on LinkedIn. We have a pod for LinkedIn that runs at 7 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock in the morning. So you have to put your post in there, and other people will come and like and comment on yours, and you'll like and comment on theirs to reciprocate. And you will notice your views and your reach rocket. You still have to produce the content for your audience, and you still have to grow your audience with the right people, but it will kickstart it. Andre, this is where people like your posts and comment on your posts, and you like and comment on theirs. It's like a reciprocal arrangement. It's only designed to help kickstart you. Now, some people use it for a few months or a year or so whilst they get into the thing of how do I work out this content? How do I get it moving? What works and what doesn't? But it helps you see really clearly, this posted well, this one didn't. Now I can learn about my audience. If you want to be part of them, they're free. We're not going to charge you anything for them. We run them on WhatsApp. Just message me on LinkedIn and say, hey, can I be part of your LinkedIn pod? And we'll share the link and just join. Just the only rules is it's called a pod. The only rule is if you expect people to like and comment on yours, you have to do it on theirs, and you have to do it within a window of time so everybody gets the algorithm benefit. And ideally the comment is 4 words. You can go on and buy membership to pods. You can buy a membership to a pod, but the pod is key. The key thing for the pod is it's just to kickstart your content and to kickstart your visibility so that you can build on it and get out of maybe a content rut that you've got in. So yeah, that's one way to accelerate your content. Joe, I can't see your web link for some reason. So if you tell me the company name, I'll find it. I'll either Google it or something like that and go have a look. But yeah, if you want to join the pod, message me on LinkedIn or email us and say, hey, how do I get into the pod? There's lots of different people in there, and that's a good thing. But any other questions, Joe, if you want me to look at your website above? I didn't see it. I think YouTube deletes it anytime you put a link in. We had some weird people posting comments in lives where they post like, do you want your logo designed, and loads of stuff like that. So YouTube put on the content filters. Joe Flint, just messages the anybody can join the pod. Julie, if you want to join them, you're more than welcome. Again, it's a kickstart. I'm all for a shortcut as long as it doesn't compromise things, and it is a way to kickstart things, so it works. Joe, don't worry. Well, Joe, it's nice that you've got a new site live. Wish you all the best. And if you ping me an email or a LinkedIn message, and I'll have a look and give you some feedback, no problem there. Any more before I sign off? I've got a group of our social selling accelerator people. I'm joining at 8:30. So if there's any more, I'm going to sign off in a minute unless there's something else. And next week we're doing a LinkedIn lead generation workshop, 7:00, same time. Go to Eventbrite and register. So we've got LinkedIn lead generation webinar next Tuesday, 7:00 on this channel. But if you can register, that would be awesome, so that we know who you are and we can send you an email saying buy our stuff. I'm just being straight with you. That's what happens, isn't it? And yeah, awesome. So thank you so much for coming. I hope you've enjoyed it, got some value from this. If you've got some value, subscribe to the channel, show us some love on social media. That'll be awesome. And more importantly, go use what we're giving you. Don't just sit on it and become another piece of information that you've learned. Go try it, field test it, tweak it, because it will work for you. So thank you so much, and hopefully I will see you in the chat on next week's live on LinkedIn lead generation.